welcome back. My name is Dee, and this is Dee's Reading Lounge, where I'm sharing my love for reading at my own pace. Welcome to all of my returning subscribers and viewers. Thank you so much for coming back to watch one of my videos. And if you are new here, thanks so much for tuning in, clicking on the video. I do talk about historical fiction, which is my favorite genre, literary fiction, contemporary fiction, a few thrillers every now and then, dipping my feet in a little romance every now and then. And so if that is of interest to you, I do invite you to subscribe down below. I would love to have you here on my channel. So let's go ahead and get into this video. I am going to be sharing all of the books that I have in my collection of books by Black male authors that I want to read more from or get into. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first author that I want to talk about, and I do have a notepad right here because I'm going to be referring to this because I wrote down a few things about these Black authors that I want to mention, just in case you weren't aware of all of their accolades, as I wasn't when I started to dig into these authors and do some research on them. I think that's always good to know before picking up an author, like their background, what inspires them, awards that they have won, and things like that. Okay, so the first one is going to be S.A. Cosby. So S.A. Cosby, I learned about this author in 2024 when I went back into my reading journey. So he was born in the 70s, so he's a few years older than me, but not by very much. He writes Southern crime fiction thriller books. And so he made the New York Times bestsellers list for Razorblade Tears, which I do have that book, and I'll show you all the books that I have by these authors, okay? Also, he was on the Jimmy Fallon show, and I think he was in the Jimmy Fallon's book club, or one of his books made the Jimmy Fallon's book nominations or something like that. And he's won a few awards. He has written about 4 books to date. However, he does have a 5th one coming out. I think it's coming out in May. I think it's called King of Ashes. Also, he is from Virginia, where I was born and raised, Virginia. He lives in Gloucester, Virginia. And so I've only read 1 book by him, and being that he writes about Southern people and some of the settings that he has mentioned in the books, I also am familiar with too. So I was really excited to get to know him as an author. And so I did read 1 book, which was All the Sinners Bleed. Now, it wasn't my favorite book, but I am still, gonna give him a chance to see if I will like his other books. And so I'm gonna show you all the books that I have by him. I only have 2, and it's Razorblade Tears, which was the number 10 on the New York Times bestseller list. And then I've got Blacktop Wasteland. And like I said, he's got a 5th book coming out, King of Ashes, I think in May. So, all right, so the next author is Percival Everett. Girl, I don't have his book. Where's his book? Okay. Now, Percival Everett has been writing a long time. He's got plenty of accolades. He's not only a, author, he's also a distinguished professor at USC, University of Southern California, which I didn't know. He's won several awards. He was nominated or shortlisted for the Booker Prize in 2022 for his novel Trees. Also, his latest book, which is James, won the National Book Award. He writes in a variety of genres: literary fiction, satire, westerns, which The Trees is a western, apparently, and he's written some children's books. So, well distinguished. He's an English professor, like I said, at USC. And so the only book that I have by this author is James, but I'm eager to getting into his other works as time goes on. So that's James. Have not read that book yet, but I need to get to it. The next author is Daniel Black. Daniel Black, he's actually a professor, Dr. Daniel Black. He's a professor at Clark Atlanta University, which is a historical Black university, a public speaker, a mentor. He's written several books, about something like 9 or 10 books. His latest book, which I can't think of the name of it, but it's a sequel to Don't Cry for Me, is this book right here. I don't have that book. I only have 1 book. I actually have 2 books that he's written, but again, I have not read either one of these books. So the two books that I have by him is this one right here, The Coming. I've got that on as an ebook on my Kindle that I'm eager to read, and that is about I'm not sure if it's a fiction, I think it is fiction, about the transatlantic slave ship that brought our people over here. And this book right here, which is Perfect Peace, which I haven't read yet, but I've had this one on my to read list, TBR, for quite some time. I just need to get to it because I heard it's a really, really good book, one that you have to get your mind right to read. So I'm eager to get into his works at some time. Next, we've got James McBride. In addition to being a writer, he's also a musician. He absolutely looks like a musician. He looks like he would be a jazz musician. He's also won the 2013 National Book Award for Good Lord Bird. I've never heard of that book. No one has, that I watch here on the internet, has talked about the book. I've never heard of that book. So that is one that I will be looking out for. He writes literary fiction, historical fiction predominantly, and also he wrote a memoir, which I do have over here. So I've got 3 of his book in total. I've got his memoir. This is The Color of Water, a black man's tribute to his white mother. He's interracial, white mother, black father, and he was born and raised in New York back in the 50s, I believe, when interracial marriage was not like, you know, something that you did back then. And then I've got the Heaven and Earth Grocery Store, which this is highly on my anticipated to read list because I heard it's a really good book. And then I've got Deacon King Kong. Haven't heard a whole lot about this book, so I'm eager to see what this one is all about and how I would like this book. So that is 3 books that I have by James McBride. The next one is James Baldwin. James Baldwin, everybody knows him, civil rights activist, as well as a writer. He also has acclaimed works in novels, essays, poems, and also plays. I am familiar with his essay writing because I do have The Fire Next Time. And then this book right here apparently made the 100 best novels that was published in the English language. Go Tell It on the Mountain, which I have not read yet, but I do want to read soon. Ernest J. Gaines. I only have 1 book by him, and that book is A Lesson Before Dying. I want to say this is a black classic book. When doing my research on him, it looks like a lot of his books are taught in the classroom. This book is actually on the banned list. And also I found out that a lot of his books have been translated into many different languages. So this one came out in 1993. I will list all of his accolades and awards and things like that here on the screen. Unfortunately, he died in 2019, so he's no longer with us, but definitely I'm very honored to be able to read some of the work that he has left behind. So that's Ernest J. Gaines. I have this book, and I do have one other book, which I don't have here, A Gathering of Old Men. So I do have 2 books by him that I really want to read at some point. And last on the list is Walter Mosley. I haven't read anything by this author before. He's been writing for a very long time. He's got a lot of books. He's best known for his like crime, mystery, historical fiction series, mystery series, and things like that. I've heard several people talk about his books, specifically the Easy Rawlings, I think, series. The only book that I have by him is Black Betty, and I'm very eager to get into his works. I'm not sure if this book, but I think so, because I bought this a long time ago and never read it. It might be a part of a series. So I'm not exactly sure, but this is one that I've been having on my TBR backlisted for many, many years, and I just have not read it yet, but I'm very, very eager to read one of his books. So those are all of my black male authors that I have in my collection. The ones that I'm really highly anticipated to read are, of course, James by Percival Everett. Then we've got The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride, and then Perfect Peace. All of these authors seem to be highly acclaimed, have won many awards, they're doing great things. I'm not exactly sure why I just don't gravitate to reading their books like I do with the women authors. I don't know, but I need to just get into it because they write just as well as us women, right? All right, thanks for watching, guys. I will see you guys in the next video.